Ever notice how ads always pop up at the worst moments? When the killer's identity is about to be revealed. During that perfect meditation flow. On Amazon Music, we believe in keeping you in the moment. That's why we've got millions of ad-free podcast episodes, so you can stay completely immersed in every story, every reveal, every breath. Download the Amazon Music app and start listening to your favorite podcasts ad-free, included with Prime.
This is your before and after story. Instead of imagining a rewarding career in medical imaging, Southeastern College can actually take you there. Prepare for a career in ultrasound, radiology, and X-ray technology. With hands-on specialized training, simulations, and real-life experience with the latest imaging technology, you'll be ready to play a vital role on any healthcare team. Transform your life by helping others. Southeastern College. Your future is bright. Visit scc.edu to get started.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Man, I gotta say, John, I love the blues. I really do. This episode has a lot of the blues in it. And, I can't wait. There's something that's said in this episode we're not going to talk about because, one, I don't have any information on like whether or not it was a real saying back in those days. We'll have to get Daniel Snow on it to research it for us. But once we do, we'll talk about it maybe on our next episode. But how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Also, too, just let's throw it out there. We're not sure what that phrase actually means. It may be something that you should not say anymore. We're not 100% sure what that line of dialogue was all about, but nonetheless, I'm doing well. You skated in here with what, 28 seconds left to go before the broadcast?
Dude, I did. Well, I have to take my weekly shot, and my mom and sister were here, and they like to talk. My girlfriend likes to talk, so it was a whole talking like tsunami that was happening in my living room, and I had to like brush my girlfriend off to the side. She's a nurse, so she gives me my shot. So I had to brush her to the side. I'm like, we got to go. So I was like moving her away from the conversation as it was happening because I had 4 minutes left when the time came. And I'm now here on the internet with all of you.
Are you allowed to now participate in a podcast after getting your shot? Is it like, like some medicine, you're not allowed to operate heavy machinery?
Oh, I can. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Even if this medicine were to make me say crazy things, nothing is crazier than what I said on last night's Three Geeks podcast, and I promise it. What makes it, guys, tune in to yesterday's Three Geeks. I am going to do a John Orlando and promote myself, because when you can make your friend of 35 years still like laugh and shock, you know you've done something right. So
wow,
go check out yesterday's Three Geeks.
I'm going to have to do that because I want to know what was said. Okay.
Yeah. Talk about right. teaser.
Where can folks find Three Geeks Podcast, by the way?
Anywhere you find podcasts at Three Geeks Podcast and on YouTube, Three Geeks Podcast.
Okay, there you go. We are all over the place. We got somebody, Wilkie's Movies and Music. Hey, what's happening?
What is going on, buddy? One of my friends from over on Whatnot. Guys, go check out his channel. He does a lot of cool things on YouTube. He does like 6-hour-long shows. I want to get on one of your shows, man. Like, I got to set like a whole, I'd have to plan ahead because it's like the 10 commandments of podcasts. But like, dude, it's a really good one. Like, it's worth watching. I get sucked in every time. I watch for 3 or 4 hours sometimes. And he does some good stuff over there. So guys, go check out Wilkie's Movies and Music.
All right. Well, as we typically do, even though we kind of already did this on the PVD cast this week, what are you watching, Jason? What do you want to tell the folks that you are enjoying in terms of TV or movies?
What am I watching right now? I'm watching White Collar, which is a show very similar to like a Suits or a Psych. It's a USA type, quote unquote police drama, but this one's FBI and like robberies and stuff. trying to think of what I watched the first Omen recently because Justin's like, man, we're almost at 666 subscribers. You should review the Omen. And I'm like, that's a good idea. And I was flipping through Hulu and I saw the new Omen movie was on there. And I'm like, perfect. So I checked that out. It was really good if you like horror movies. I don't like the Omen movies. The first Omen's the first Omen movie I've enjoyed. So that says something, guys. Go check it out. Other than that, John, I've been watching just YouTube. Work's been busy. So like my background distraction hasn't been as front and center as it normally is.
Question: how many Omen movies have there been? Because isn't there just 3 of the original and then like these reboots?
Okay, so there's the first one,
right?
The second one where he's just a little bit older. Third one, he becomes he's running for president, or he is president. The fourth one is a kind of a sequel. It's about Damien's sister, and then there's a remake of the original. And then now, so there's 6. Now there is the first Omen.
Okay, so Damien became president in the third one?
Yeah, I can't remember if he was president or if he was running.
How does that even happen?
Well, his dad was in politics. That's why he was chosen to be given to that particular family, because his dad was higher up. But
showing
the
my
first
ignorance.
Omen leads into the first Omen leads into the original Omen, but they set up so much cool stuff that I'd like to see them just pretend that it doesn't go into the original Omen and just make this a new thing, because it was really well done. I liked what she did as the director. Fantastic job.
Well, I'm going to discuss what we've discussed, as I said, on this week's episode of the PVD Cast. Jason, by the way, is a guest for this week's episode of the PVD Cast. We did this because, number one, I had a change in the schedule. One of my guests had to postpone a week. And it was the 11th hour, and I said, let's talk about what we're doing with Mattalk. We'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the show. Yeah, exactly. You have always been invited on. In fact, you're challenging me to go back through the archives and prove that you have been on this. In fact, I want to say you were on a year ago.
Was I, John? I'm still bitter about the Christmas movie podcast you didn't invite me.
Okay, well, we'll remedy
that. Rom-com podcast.
Rom-com.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like if I was going to do like a Green Acres podcast, I would make sure you were invited, John.
I don't watch Green Acres. That is a ugly rumor and innuendo. But anywho, so check that out. But one of the things that I talked about is I'm going through like watching some old movies that are from like the 70s, 60s, 50s. And I stumbled across one from 1956 called Please Murder Me. And it's a great film. It stars Raymond Burr as a lawyer who isn't Perry Mason, but he might as well be, because this is a year before he got that role, and he's fantastic in it. Angela Lansbury is also in it. Denver Pyle is also in it. It's great. It's about a woman, Angela Lansbury, who has an overbearing husband. He mysteriously dies, and then there's all these twists and turns as to who actually was involved in the murder and who's trying to figure it out, who's trying to frame who. It's really well done. And best of all, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's on Tubi. So it's free if you don't mind watching commercials, which, I don't know, Jason, are you annoyed by commercials? If you are, say, like, I want to watch this really obscure, weird movie that only Tubi has, would you sit through the commercials to watch it?
As somebody who's becoming more budget conscious in life, I used to pay to not have commercials for like Hulu and for Amazon, but I don't do that anymore. No, the commercials, they don't really bother me. They give me an excuse to check out for a few minutes, especially with the way I watch TV, like during the day and stuff. It's fine.
Yeah, same here. I'm very fiscally responsible as well. I don't have my Tubi's the regular old Tubi. I can deal with the commercials, which I have noticed one thing about Tubi real quick. If I may take a sidestep here in a side conversation, I swear, and I think that I've been told that this is accurate, depending on what you're watching will depend on how many commercial breaks you get. So if I'm watching like an old, like this one, like Please Murder Me, I think it started out, there were multiple commercial breaks like at the half-hour mark, but towards the last half of the movie, there were no breaks, because I think that they're like, whoever's in charge of Tubi is probably like, who's watching this movie? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure that that's gospel. I don't know. Maybe somebody could clue us in. I don't know. But yeah, I think that to me makes sense. I don't know about you, Jason.
No, we actually have a comment about that. But
Okay.
no, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I like the Tubi is doing the Lord's work over there. Like they got some good stuff on their programming. Like I'm super excited about this new Me TV channel, but to be completely honest, Tubi's already got a lot of those shows like ready to go.
Yep. Well, let's hear some comments here real quick. Tubi isn't too bad with their commercials. I agree, Wilkie. I agree. They don't slam you like back in the day. I think one of the first free streaming services I checked out was Crackle. And God, it seemed like every 10 minutes there were commercials.
I hated Crackle. Oh my God, Crackle was awful.
Yeah.
And mainly because I don't mind commercials, but they have to make sense when they drop in the show. And Crackle would drop mid-sentence, and that would drive me nuts.
Yep.
And then the show would come back. There was no like 5-second backtrack. No, it would start right there again in the middle of the sentence. But no, Tubi seems to get it right most of the time.
Yeah, I agree. Crackle, the only thing I ever watched on Crackle, I can tell you what it is the Tribe Called Quest documentary.
All right. I figured you were a big Joe Dirt 2 fan.
No. All right. Well, Jason, we got a lot to talk about because this episode of Matlock was a two-parter. So we're going to treat this as one episode, if you will. So what do you say? Shall we go ahead and jump on into it, man?
We shall, man. I can't wait.
All right, with that then, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our opening statements. The episode is called The Secret. Part 1 aired on October 30th, 1990, and then Part 2 aired on November 6th, 1990. And we have a couple of guest stars here, and one of which might look and sound a little familiar. In fact, let's talk about him. Ron Taylor is our first guest star. He's going to play the role of Ty Mullins on the episode, but he has already appeared in a Matlock episode as he was Deacon Holmes on the episode called The Prisoner 1 and 2. If you remember, that was the one with David Carradine where Ben got suckered into doing like the negotiations for the prison that was on lockdown because the prisoners had taken over, and Zeus was in it, aka Tiny Lister, et cetera, et cetera. So he was already been on an episode, but you may also know him as Coach Wingate on Twin Peaks, Lester Bell on City of Angels, a Klingon chef on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Papa David Harper on Quantum Leap, and many, many other shows and movies to his credit.
First off, she was in Trading Places too. First off, rest in peace to Ron Taylor. Passed away in 2002. But no, I mean, he was in a couple good shows. They have a picture of when he was on Home Improvement, and I remember exactly what episode he was on in Home Improvement too.
So was his role on Twin Peaks, was it a big one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I've only seen the show through once.
Okay, all right, because I know you're a big fan of the Twin Peaks. Okay, our next guest star, James McDonald as Tom Hermansky. You may also know him as James Kent on Bones, Dr. Crane on Desperate Housewives, Mitch K on Murder One and the subsequent TV movie spinoffs, Dick Barenbaum on LA Law, and Mick Gordon on One Life to Live, which he had quite a run on One Life to Live, by the way, that soap opera. So anything you want to discuss when it comes to Mr. McDowell's career?
Yeah, what is with these guest stars, man? Rest in peace to you too. Passed away in 2022. He was on Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. Coach is such a good underrated show. That should have been on my list for the PVD cast. But yeah, nothing else, man. You seem to have covered most of it.
Do you remember Coach apparel? Like they had apparel like T-shirts and sweatshirts with wasn't it Minnesota State? Wasn't that the name of the columns? Yeah, like they had those because I thought that was kind of cool when I saw them. I saw them at the local JCPenney. JCPenney. Back when it used to be the powerhouse retail store. Man, oh man.
Yeah, I used to buy some of my FUBU there.
Yeah.
Tommy Hilfiger. That's right, folks. That's right.
It's okay. You know what? I will share that I had a troop suit actually that I bought from some men's warehouse establishment. So yeah.
Now, Justin, if you don't know what JCPenney is, it used to be in the mall, kind of like Lazarus.
Number one, don't make fun of our producer, Justin. You're making it sound like he's ancient.
No, I'm making it sound like he's young.
Wait, he's not a day over 27.
He's not. He looks like he's 22.
We got an LOL from Justin.
He's a 3 geek sex appeal. That's why we keep him around.
Oh, okay.
Hi,
all right.
John.
All right, let's move on to our next guest star is a gentleman by the name of Forty Smith. He will be playing the role of John Delaney. You may know him as Rondi in Beverly Hills Cop 3, obnoxious owner and secretariat. I love when they get those type of no name, obnoxious owner, police officer, emergency room doctor. That's what you get. Anyways, he was also SFC Carl Palmer in We Were Soldiers. He played the Green Hornet in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. He played Reese Walker on Santa Barbara and Dolph Crane on First and 10. So quite a bit of variety with Mr. Smith.
Did you say Black Cobra 3, The Manila Connection?
You just made that up. That's an actual movie.
That is an actual movie. 1990. He did it the same year he did Matlock.
Oh my gosh. No, dude, it sounds like you just made that up. It really sounds like you just made that stuff up.
You know, it's funny when the IMDb page loaded up and I saw that he hasn't made anything since 2013. I thought we were going to go 3 for 3, but no, he is still with us.
All right, good. Thank goodness. We don't want that streak on our hands.
I always get nervous when I go to IMDb and see that they haven't worked in a long period of time, because then I just automatically assume the worst, and it's sad.
Not that they were tired and are on a beach, tropical beach, sipping pina coladas. No. They died. All right, let's get to our final guest star, William Allen Young as Roy Stevens. You may know him as Benjamin Williams on 911 Lone Star, Councilman Wilkins on This Is Us, Judge David Walters on General Hospital, Dr. Guthrie on Code Black, Dwayne McWade on CSI, Chief Judge Joseph Ratner on CSI Miami, Frank Mitchell on Moesha, and over 100 different other credits to his name. So probably, I'm going to say he's probably the most significant of our guest stars here this evening. Jason, would that be accurate?
Yeah, I actually remember his storyline on This Is Us.
How was that?
It was good, man. He's a good actor. He was also, you missed Christmas Hotel from the Lifetime channel. I need to add that to my list of things to watch.
That's right in your wheelhouse, man. Right in your wheelhouse. I'm still going to get you that. Justin, can you look up real quick for me Hallmark holiday hockey movie and see what the name of it is, because I need to give it to Jason so he can watch it. And everyone else that's watching. Jason loves holiday movies from Hallmark, and I watched the first and only one I think I've ever watched start to finish. It was a hockey-oriented one, and it was fantastic. And so Justin's busy Googling. He threw his hands up in the air. That's not good. That's not good at all.
I think he's quitting the show. Yep, his camera just went black. Justin is throwing his computer around the room, and none of that's happening. No. All right, John, let's find out about this episode.
Christmas on Ice. No, that's not what it. I'll figure it out. Anyways, there's like a bunch of them. Okay, it's got a hockey related theme to it, so I'll check it out. Anyways,
during Christmas, Justin.
Christmas coupon.
I want to watch that Christmas coupon.
Okay, no, we'll talk. We'll deal with this later. Because Jason, it's time for me to ask you a very important question, sir. All right. Justin just sent us A Miracle on Christmas Lake, not rated 2016.
Nice.
Is that Christmas Lake or is it Crystal Lake? That's the question. Anyways, Jason, are you ready to give an opinion? Your opinion and only your opinion, so help you.
I do, John. Let's go.
It's time to testify. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the plot here. It's very simple. There's a gambler who was framed for murder, and he's accused of murdering his bookie. But Ben thinks that maybe someone else is behind the killing. So we go to an opening scene. Piano keys, the interior of a piano, a trumpet, a sax, all the things that you expect to see when you're talking about a musician. And so then we cut to a scene where there's a gambling anonymous meeting. And Ty, he wants to speak. And he walks up and he said, hey, man, I'm having some problems. And he gives his spiel about how much money he spent and how he's been on, 138 days or something like that, Jason, clean, not gambling, anything along those lines. Checking it twice, I think, is correct. Yes, I think that is the one. There you go. Checking it twice. Thank you, Justin. That is the name of the holiday movie where this guy gets transferred to the minor league team of this podunk town. He ends up falling in love, of course, with the woman that has a candy factory or a Christmas tree farm or something, Jason. I don't know.
There's always a Christmas tree. This came out in 2023. Does that sound right to you?
That's correct. That is correct. That's the one. All right.
There's always a candy thing.
I don't know. Thank you, Justin. I'm giving you a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. Although he says he wants to watch Hobo's Christmas, I don't even know what that is.
I'm going to watch that too. We're not here to listen to us talk about.
No. Let's get on to okay. So Ty is a blues singer, and so he's performing at a club, and both Ben and Conrad are there watching, and they love the music, And so Eric is the club proprietor, and he meets with his pals, and he needs some money. So Ben and Ty chat after the set is done, and he introduces him to Conrad, and Ty says that he's going to be off the road. He's going to be sticking around Atlanta for a little while. And so Ty goes on over to talk to Eric, and they have an argument about paying for his band. Like it's kind of revealed that Ty owes money still to Eric for gambling, but you got to at least pay the band. You know what I'm saying? And it's weird because Eric needs to borrow money from his pals. In fact, I think it's like $150K. And they're all like, okay, but this has got to be the last time. And so we go back to the club, which is in the morning. It's morning time. There's a cleaning guy vacuuming, stacking up chairs and whatnot. And Eric is in his office. And then we find out that the killer walks past the cleaning guy because he has his earbuds, his headphones on. Not earbuds, but his headphones on. He's listening to music. He's running a sweeper. He doesn't notice the killer is there. All right. So the killer comes in. He tries to shoot Eric. Eric disarms him. There's still a fight. The gun goes off. Eric's dead. The killer leaves. Who shows up next, Jason?
Of course, who shows up? The guy that's going to be blamed for the crime.
Which is Ty. That's right. Ty arrives. Cleaning guy doesn't hear him either. Ty finds the body. Cleaning guy shows up as he's leaving to go to the payphone to call 911. And so while that's going on, we get a shot of where the killer puts the gun in Ty's car. Okay, Jason, I know you and I differ on this opinion. All right, but I'm going to throw it out there. It would be real easy as a very simple way to not be accused of murder. Lock your car doors. I know you disagree with me on that, Jason.
I mean, you're not wrong, John. But see, my philosophy behind the car door situation is they're going to break your window, and then you have to pay for a window, and they're going to take what they wanted to take out of the car anyway.
Oh, well, you know what? You could use that as the alibi. Well, officer, clearly you can see the window's broken. Would I break my own window to put the gun, the murder weapon back in my? You got a good point there. You know what? Okay, I'm a lock your car kind of dude. That's just me. So, all right. What do you think about this whole setup for Ty?
Poor guy. Seems like a nice guy.
Okay, I'll hold my comments about Ty off for the later in the episode here. Anyways, so we go to police headquarters, and Ben is interviewing Ty, and Ben takes the case, and he's reminding Mr. Ty, no more gambling, no more. Okay, so Ty. Oh, excuse me, I forgot one small little important detail. Ty has $25,000 that he owes to Eric because Eric is his bookie. I like how Ben was blown away by this news. Do you think high rolling Ben? He's going to the casino. How much money is he spending? Go.
50 cents. It's funny because Ben's like, everybody drops a small wager here and there. I gamble all the time. You don't gamble, Ben. You keep your money safe in your house. And one of the final lines of this episode really ties back to this, and I thought it was really funny. But yeah, no, Ben's not. No, $1, maybe $2, maybe $20, maybe.
Okay, I'll give you the $20, but he is guaranteed if he gets up. How much do you think he has to get up before he walks away? Like, say he's playing blackjack.
$1.
You mean he puts down 20, he makes $1. He's like, I'm cashing out. That's it.
Yeah, he won.
Ooh.
He's leaving with more than he went in with.
That's true, but I guess I'm gonna give Creed. I'm gonna give a little more faith to Ben Matlock that I'd say he'd go. I'd say he'd go $10.
But I mean, to be fair, if you're putting down 20 on blackjack, you only win $1. They're not paying you at good odds anyway. You're gonna need to leave.
I suppose you're right on that. All right. So, anyways, Ben goes over to the club and chats with Bob Brooks. This is what we got going on here, Ben, et cetera, et cetera. Sherry stops by, and she shows Ben some pictures. And so Sherry IDs the guys in the pics that she took at the club. That's John, that's Roy, et cetera, et cetera. Conrad arrives, and Sherry reveals that there's a bunch of ledgers to be found. That's where Eric kept all of his notes as to who owed what and where. And so Ben goes to interview John. And I kind of wrote this down. John is like a hot shot Jerry Maguire, right? Like he deals with athletes and important people. What the hell was up with that suit jacket and that tie? Like it was really god awful ugly, even for 90s standards. Okay. And by the way, I want people to understand, as I've said many times before, I'm not making fun of women's fashions. I'll call out bad fashions no matter what. This dude, this John right here with his outfit. That's all I can say. I'm making that face, that unbelievably shocked face. Jason, what say you?
I agree. Everything you said.
I also found this was weird. And they mention it, but you're a sports agent and you're best friends with a bookie. There's got to be some chicanery that goes on there. There's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Well. So, Ty, basically, John gives his alibi. He was there, he blah, 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 working all night, et cetera, et cetera. So then we go to a scene where Ben's at home and Ty arrives and he brought dinner. Okay. And Ben tells Ty, listen, no more gambling. Okay. We know you owe the money to Eric, but no more. Okay. No more. And so, Ty decides to play a little tune on the piano. And this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is not the comic we were referring to, but I wrote it down. Ty says that a piano is like a woman likes to be stroked. For crying out loud. Seriously? Seriously. Do you think even in 1990 you're getting anywhere with that line? Like if you walked up to a lady at a bar in 1990, late 1990, and you said, hey, women, just like a piano, they like to be stroked. You are still going home by yourself.
I don't think you would tell a woman like that. I don't think you'd say it like that. I don't think you'd say it to a woman. I think that's a stupid line you say around your buddies to sound funny. I don't think you actually say that to a woman. Because why would you refer to all women when you're sitting there talking to them?
I'm just saying, it's a crass statement. Okay.
Now maybe, hey, do you want to come to my house later and be a piano and we can get stroking or something like that? But like, I don't know. the right terminology. Sorry, folks. There's no other way to talk about this. Anyway, let's brush past it and move on. Let's move on.
No. Because the way that you said it is exactly how I think you would say that if it was in 1990 and you and I were at a bar. I think that's exactly how you would say that.
I wouldn't say that. I got a little bit more game than that.
No, okay, but if you had to say that, I think that's exactly how you would. All right.
If I have to say that to meet a girl, then I just need to stop dating. Like, if I have to get that bad, no.
What's the worst pickup line you ever used?
I don't think I ever used one. I usually just start conversations.
Okay. Just was curious. Okay. Anyways, let's get back on track. We're very ADHD tonight. Anyways.
If I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put you and I together.
Hey, I've lost my phone number. Can I borrow yours? Boom. There you go. All right. Feel free, ladies and gentlemen, to throw in your favorite pickup line in the comments below. We'll read them on air if they're not too spicy. Keep them G-rated, please. PG, okay? Anyways, back to the episode. We cut to Tom's farm, and John arrives for a meeting. And John thinks the other three killed Eric. And the other two. The other two say, we thought you killed him. And so basically they get a message from Sherry that she has the ledgers. And she's going to hold on to them. $150K. That's what we need. That's the price. All right. I wrote down Sherry equals next dead. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. So Sherry meets with Ben and lets Ben into Eric's home. Then a blue car pulls up. All right. So meanwhile, inside the home, Sherry and Ben are talking, blah, blah, blah. They go to leave, and the blue car attempts to try to run over Sherry. But thankfully, the man with cat-like reflexes, Ben Matlock, pulls her to safety.
He does, man. That's pretty smooth.
Yeah, cat-like reflexes, no, probably not. But anyways, so Conrad and Ben discuss the near hit and run. And Sherry, she hasn't really left the scene of the attempted murder, so to speak, vehicular homicide, if you will. And she hasn't left, but Conrad approaches Sherry because Ben leaves, and she's acting very, very weird. Okay, so we cut to a scene of Baxter University where Conrad interrupts Roy Stevens, who's doing a sports report. And, he wants to know, where were you? And, of course, Roy said, I was talking to the coach of the Atlanta Falcons. All right. And they must have gotten clearances to use the Atlanta Falcons because they mentioned that team like 3 times. So the NFL must have been A-okay with that, or somebody wrote a check. One of the two. The funniest part, I don't know why this is so funny, but Roy was wearing makeup. And Conrad calls him out on it. I don't know why. I found that funny. What about you?
It was back then.
Well, right. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think Conrad should be calling anybody out after that outfit from the last week. Just saying, like that thing was atrocious.
That was very atrocious. Conrad sees the athletic trainer, and I forget what his name is, but he fills him in that Eric got kicked out of college due to gambling. And so Eric, not so clean, the other 3 are, they all played football, and Eric didn't get to play his final season because he got expelled and kicked out. So we go back to Tom's farm, and Ben interviews Tom, and then Tom goes in the house. He gets a call from Sherry. She wants $75K a piece, and I like how she ended the conversation with the phrase, I'm going to release this information. Quote, you can bet on it. Oh, see what you did there? See what you did there? Connecting the dots. Yeah. Anyways. Ty is watching football at a bar. Ben arrives. Eric is in deep for $150K. And as they're talking about this, all of a sudden, the game ends and Ty wins $5 on the game. So Tom is at the airport. Sherry takes the money from him. And then Ben, in the next scene, Ben, I can't read my own notes. Anyways, Ben is at his house. Ty shows up. They're there. again, they're eating food. Ben goes into the kitchen and finds a wad of cash sticking out of the pocket of Ty's jacket. Now, here's where I'm going to preview a little bit of my opinion on this episode. I feel like they're overdoing it with Ty's gambling. I'm just going to throw it out there. You can agree with me, Jason, or you can disagree, but I think like it constantly is coming up, and I'm like, I think this pulls away from the focus of the show. That's just me. What say you?
That's what happens, man, when you're addicted to gambling. I thought they handled it very well.
I think they did it a little bit overkill. I did.
I mean, that's kind of what it is when you're addicted to gambling. It is overkill, and that they're just trying to, prove that point. Any addiction is overkill. I thought they actually handled that very well.
Okay. All right. So Ben questions Ty about the money. The money is from Ty's folks. Ben keeps the money. And then we cut to a scene of Eric's home. Conrad shows up and a robbery is in the midst of happening. And he fights with the knife-wielding burglar, who then escapes in the same blue car that almost ran over Ben and Cherry. And little did you know, and I knew as soon as this happened, I knew who it was. I knew it was going to be the farmhand that we saw a couple of scenes before at Tom's farm, which, of course, we do find that is correct. So Ben interviews Tom regarding the previous brawl, and in true Matlock fashion, vintage Ben Matlock, he gets kicked out of Tom's house. Get out. I'm done talking to you. Tom calls a meeting, and he's like, hey, we're going to meet. We got to talk about this, all right? And they meet at like some type of cow auction, if you will, or cattle auction, I guess you could say. And so what they don't know is in the crowd, in his actual cowboy getup, which makes sense for this scene, unlike his baseball attire from last episode, there's Conrad. Conrad's there. And so the three buddies chat, and this I thought was stupid and went nowhere and should have been in the episode whatsoever, is Conrad accidentally bids on a horse or something. I think it was a horse. Yeah. I was like, why is this in here? This is dumb. Get this out of here.
I honestly didn't even think about it, so I don't have an opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, Conrad goes to Ben and says, hey, this is what I heard them saying. And then Sherry calls. And she claims that she's going to be killed by one of them, by John or Roy, maybe Tom. And so she wants, Ben knows everything that Sherry tells him. This is how the things work. This is the ledger. This is everything. I blah, 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 blah. I know I got the negatives. So I'll meet you tomorrow morning. Okay, Sherry says, I'll meet you tomorrow morning. Conrad and Ben go to meet Sherry. Sherry arrives via boat. Who does that, by the way? I'm going to arrive on my boat. That seems a little ridiculous. Not as ridiculous as soon as I saw her on a boat, I kid you not. I go, that boat's going to explode. Kaboom! And it did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was so obvious. Yes. Yeah, I hear you.
And that, my friends, ends part one. So, all right, Jason, anything that we overlooked in this first half of this episode?
No, man, I think we covered it all.
Sorry about that. I needed a drink. Sorry. It's there's a lot to talk about with this double episode. So, Justin says that he would arrive by a boat if he could. And I'd say that would be that sounds about right for you, Justin. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't think Justin would explode either.
No, I don't think he would either. But he probably doesn't have ledgers of people's bets either. So there's that. Hey, speaking of what he may have, do we have any comments, Justin? No comments? All right, Jason, then we're all ready to go for the second part?
Yes, man, I'm ready to go.
All right, we got the same opening scene, obviously, like we normally do when it's a double episode. We have a scene where the cops are searching for answers to the boat explosion. And I liked how the cop was like off camera and like Ben was like, so did the boat explode? Yeah, it exploded, I think. Okay, is there anything like, she's dead as a doornail. She's on this boat. Like they're yelling off the screen. I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? Seriously. Ben leans on Sherry's car and finds out that it's cold. So therefore, that means that she didn't drive there in the morning. She had been there overnight or for an extended period of time in the morning. Ben finds a bank receipt near Sherry's car. And so Ben decides it's time to get a little swole on, if you know what I'm saying, because he stops by the gym where Ron, Roy, Tom, and John are all working out. And they go, hey, Ben drops the whole Sherry's dead, and they're all shocked. And then Ben's like, hey, you know what? Here's some subpoenas for you. All right. And by the way, here's how I think things went down.
I gotta say, I knew the resolution to her exploding in the boat. Like, as soon as I saw it, I knew that she did not really die in the boat.
No, that's okay, because we're 2 notes away from that. So 2 days prior to the accident or the explosion, Sherry cleaned out her bank account, and then it's alluded to the fact that she may have faked her own death, which that was a little bit of a stretch. Just a little bit of one. Sorry, folks. I keep coughing and keep having some issues. I have to mute myself. I apologize. Sherry's mailman leaks that she was having mail forwarded. And so Conrad arrives at Ben's to say that the new address of one Sherry is in Chicago. Okay, here's another gripe that I have. Why did we have to go to Chicago? Like, I didn't.
She was trying to get away, and they needed to get the thing. I get that. I think you're just being too picky, John. Were you grumpy when you watched this episode?
No.
Do we need to talk? Should we talk? Are you doing okay?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
I even asked you how you're doing.
Yeah, you did at the beginning of this episode, and I said,
well, I mean, I haven't really. We're not really getting to the deep of it. Like, go lay on your couch. Let's talk for a second. You good?
I am fine. I just thought, like, why Chicago? Like, it's never really defined. Like, it's not like she knew the one guy, but that was about it. Like, it just seemed like she would probably go. And furthermore, she's not keeping a low profile either. That was my other thing that I was a little bit annoyed by.
Well, she's in a different state. She doesn't need to keep a low profile. She's good.
Okay. Well, anyway, Conrad is sent to Chicago, and Conrad does a great little shtick here where he hits a car in front of him that's parked, and then he gets all the information from this guy named Macklin, Mr. Macklin. And so then he uses that to get into his apartment. Like, hey, I'm here. He tells the doorman, I'm here to see Macklin, and he lets him up. So he lets him on up to a huge gambling casino-like setup in this room. All right, in this giant penthouse, if you will. And so Conrad starts playing. He starts playing, right? How much? Okay, let's put the shoe on Conrad's foot. How much you think Conrad's going to take with him to gamble?
Hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars. How much you think he leaves with?
He
puts down 200. He wins 50. When does he stop? What level does he stop at?
He probably goes till he's broke.
Okay. All right. I agree with you on that one. I think he's got the personality. I'm going to win the next one. And before you know it, he's out of that $200. But
I think he goes in with a time. Like, I'm going to leave by 2. And I think he leaves by 2. But I think he leaves by 2 and probably puts in more money than he started with.
You know what? I was going to say that too. I think that if he does bust, he leaves. He doesn't keep going in debt. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. All right, Mr. Davis wants to buy Conrad a drink. And so Davis starts questioning Conrad about his ties to Macklin and his own winning streak. And lo and behold, Conrad does this neat card trick, and he gets a shot at being a dealer of cards later on that weekend. And so, what do you know? Conrad's got all those mad skills, just like Tyler Hudson did.
Yeah, man. When I saw that they were helping Tyler in the description of this episode, when I was making our thumbnail before I'd actually watched it, I'm like, oh, Tyler. And then it wasn't the Tyler we know and love.
No. So after a band rehearsal, all right, at the club in Atlanta, Ty is beat up out back, all right, and he's injured, and he shows up at Ben's office, and Ty once again says, no more gambling. And again, I just feel like one or two of these instances could have been edited out. I don't think we needed all 7, but I digress. So Conrad's dealing, and then he runs into Sherry. He's like, "Hey, how's it going, Sherry?" And she points out that, and rats out Conrad. And Conrad gets a little bit roughed up. Nothing like Tyler, by the way. Conrad spills the beans. Davis's old pals with Eric. He's upset with Sherry. Conrad explains it all. Both Conrad and Sherry, are kicked out of the casino. And so Sherry leaves, but Conrad follows her to her hotel. After Conrad reasons with her, Sherry gives him the key and tells Conrad where the negatives are. It's in some locker in the airport. Then Sherry goes to her room, and then chaos erupts. Sherry jumps from her room, which is like 1779 or something like that, high up there, and is dead. Now, I'm going to go ahead and reveal a little bit more about my thoughts on this show. Jason, do you think she jumped, or do you think she was?
Oh, after watching the end of the episode, she definitely was pushed.
Who pushed her? Do you think it was that Davis dude?
Yeah, the guy that was in the thing. Yeah, 100%.
You think it was Davis?
I thought that was pretty obvious at the end, personally.
See, I didn't think that. I thought it left a little bit of ambiguity. There, I can say the word.
She was murdered.
Okay. So we go back to the ATL. Conrad and Ben go over the negatives of these photos. And then we cut to a scene that was very weird, but an art expert is giving Conrad a rundown on art that was stolen and rumored to have been stolen by Eric, Tom, John, Roy.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, a security guard was accidentally killed during the robbery. So Conrad and Ben discuss this new development, and then Conrad talks to the athletic trainer again, and the athletic trainer at Baxter U says, "Oh yeah, Tom used to date rich girls all the time." Ty and Ben have this very weird interaction. Okay, I don't know what you thought about the music, but this scene was just here so they could sing a song. What the heck? What were your thoughts?
It's fine. They wanted to get some more blues. I like blues music, man. So, I'm never going to hate on blues music.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I thought that we could have done maybe without this particular, because it went nowhere. So
you guys heard it here first. John hates blues music. You can email us at benmattalk@gmail.com.
Okay. First of all, I don't hate blues music. I don't even hate the St. Louis Blues, by the way. Side note, hockey reference for you all.
I was going to ask, is that a sports?
That's a hockey team. Anyways, I'm glad you haven't put me on the hot seat here and asking me who I think is going to win the Stanley Cup championship, since we're down to Florida and Edmonton. I'm glad you haven't asked me that.
I didn't know that we were down to anybody.
Oh, okay. Well, good, because I can't pick them. They're my call it right down the middle. They're both equal teams. I don't know. I'd like to see Florida win, because Paul Maurice needs a trophy. Sergei Bobrovsky deserves one, but I also want to see McDavid and Draisaitl lift the cup too. So I'm torn. I don't have a favorite.
My money's on the Ducks.
Of course your money would be on the Ducks. You'll be happy they're going back to their old Mighty Ducks logo next year.
Nice.
Because they haven't had that for the last 5 years. So
nice.
Going back to the old...
Two teams not even associated with the Ducks, and I was rooting for the Ducks.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we go to the courtroom, and John is on the stand, and John is just streamlining his life and profession. That's why he got rid of his fancy car, his fancy house, all this stuff. But, John was known for playing ball, as the athletic trainer gives, Ben and Conrad all that information, and Ben brings that up, And on the day of the art robbery, all right, basically those guys, Eric, Roy, John, and Tom, they were not at the game because of either injuries or one guy got suspended and kicked out of the game. All right. Oh, we have a comment. Let's go ahead and pop up that comment, if you will. Florida. Wilkie, I gotta be honest with you, man. Like I said, I'm torn down the middle. I think both teams could lift the cup. I mean, and I wouldn't hate either team if they did win. So, well, here comes a little fact, a little piece of evidence that Ben's going to point out, that there's a coffee stain, all right, on one of the office chairs. In fact, if you go back to the first time John talked to Ben went to go sit in the seat, and then the secretary said, no, sit over here. And he sat over there. So basically, it was to be cleaned. And the day of the murder, a company like Stanley Steamer shows up, and no one's there, right? So no one was there. And so that's some funny business there. That's some weird stuff. And then, John, where's your ring? Where's your championship ring that you won when you were at Baxter U? Because you have one, right? You had one, but now it's missing. Well, I never had one. No. Eric never had one because he was expelled, but you have one. And in fact, it's revealed that Robin Martell, Rick Martell's sister, that was a wrestling joke. John's ex-girlfriend used to have the ring, and she had it resized so John could only fit it on his pinky, like a true player does. Anyways, so therefore, Ty is found not guilty. And there's more music to wrap up the episode. And Conrad and Ben are at the club again, and Ben is fixing up Ty with a record deal with some guy that's not only a recovering gambler, but also a bigwig at a record deal. And Conrad said, that's the only way you're ever going to get paid, and fade to black. That, my friends, is the episode, The Secret. So, Jason, a couple things we want to talk about real quick before we jump into our the end of the show.
No, man, I got nothing else.
Then it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for our closing statement.
This is the part of the podcast where John and I will rate the show on a gavel system. 1 gavel means that we hated it. 5 gavels means we loved it. Negative 27 gavels means we are quitting the world and going and moving into a small island off the coast of Mexico. John, I'm going to go first because you always go first.
Time out. Wait a minute. Time out. I'm not stepping foot in Mexico.
I said a small island off the coast of Mexico.
I don't know. That's still close to Mexico. I don't feel safe in Mexico, man. There's too many bad things happen in Mexico.
BNMATTLK@gmail.com. John's thoughts are those of John Orlando and not those of Mattalk LLC or 3 Geeks Podcast LLC. All right, guys. So I give this episode a 2.5. It's honestly it's not that the episode necessarily did anything that really stood out that I didn't like. It's just, it was boring until the stuff with Chicago started. That's when it started to pick up, and I found myself like really getting invested in the show. There was a lot of unnecessary storyline. This could have just been a 1 episode and would have been fine. This is actually the first in a long time with this show that I've felt like I could have done with or without it. It's like I said, there's nothing awful about this episode. It's just a lot of boring parts, just slow at some points. But I mean, yeah, that's where I'm at.
I'm at a 3 gavels, and for the same reasons that you said. I felt this could have been 1 episode. I felt that I really didn't like Ty, the character. Like, I just don't think that, with all due respect to Ron Taylor, I don't think he brought anything to the role. He was kind of annoying in my eyes. I do give him credit that they tried to do some like twists and turns. But yeah, I totally agree. I just feel like it was mid, as the kids would say. It's mid. It was not a very, especially from what we've seen over the last several episodes, this was a big time step down. So 3 gavels for me.
That's fair.
Yep.
You can't really argue with that.
No, you can't. All right. Well, I mean, you can, but you're still going to think you're right. Correct? I mean, right, Jason? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, man, let's talk about our own personal podcasting projects. You just stated at the beginning of this episode that if you haven't heard the latest 3 Geeks, you need to. You need to. This man, to my, would that be my left?
I am on your right.
To my right. Thank you for that. Just said that he said the most outrageous thing ever. No, wait, time out. Who was taken aback by this? Was it
all
Justin?
of them? But it's so funny because I've known Max for so long. That's why I just specifically called out Max. To the fact that I can make a friend of 34 years still like drop his jaw in laughter, it means I'm doing something in this world, right, guys? Okay. And I'm sorry, John, I don't have any like thumbnails or pictures for you guys. But yesterday on the Three Geeks podcast, we actually did not talk about Hannibal. We forgot. But we did talk about our 5 favorite music albums. We went over the iTunes list of 100 best albums, gave kind of our thoughts. Drake shouldn't be on that list. But just tune in and check it out, and we will, get with us. And you guys can also check out Justin's The Game that we have right now streaming on our YouTube channel. And that almost looks exactly like the picture of Justin in the small window down below.
It does. It is. Well, check out that stuff. PVD cast I've already mentioned. It is kind of Jason and I talking about a couple of changes to Mattalk, which we'll get to here in a minute. It's available at pvdcast.com or wherever you find great podcasts. So, Jason, shall we go ahead and clue people in if they haven't listened to the PVD cast yet?
Well, we do have one comment. Justin, go ahead and throw it up.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, guys, definitely jump into the Facebook. There's 3 or 4 different Matlock groups. A lot of great people. They like talking about the show. And it's funny. I always thought John and I were the youngest people that watch the show. We are not. No. A lot of our listeners are in their 20s. And guys, just, jump on that. It's fun. Thank you for checking out our show. If this is your first time, Loose Screws, we appreciate it. And we're going to weekly.
Yep, that's right. We're going to try this. We're going to try to go weekly because you folks have responded. Let's look. I'm just going to peel back the curtain, let the cat out of the bag, whatever you want to say. Since changing to the live format, you folks have embraced us. You folks have turned out week in and week out. Our numbers have been fantastic, and not that we do it for that. All right, I don't care if we get 80 viewers or 800 viewers. We enjoy doing this, but with that being said, we're going to do our best to continue to put out the best product we can each and every week and see if it works. If it works, because sometimes, as we've talked about before, sometimes life gets in the way. We'll go back to doing it twice a week, or twice a month. But we're going to try this. We're still going to have the audio version on Spotify or wherever you find audio podcasts. We're going to still try to get that out towards the end of the week. Since we're doing them on Sunday, we'll try to get those edited and set to go for the end of the week. We're excited for this, and we hope that you are too. And continue to support us. We really do appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, recommend. I don't know what else. What other verbs do we need?
And John's being modest, guys. We hit 20,000 views on just Mattalk on the Three Geeks channel. So thank you.
Yeah. Any other quick comments or anything, Justin?
The answer to that is simple. It's Perry Mason.
Father Dowling. No, you know what? That's an old school one. Father Dowling. Oh, man. Tom Bosley as Father Dowling, and Ricky Nelson's kid sister, Tracy Nelson, I believe was her name, was the nun on that show. The sister.
I do love Tom Bosley, but I'm sorry, it's Perry Mason.
Yeah, I have to go with Perry Mason as well on that one. So, all right, man. Well, if there's no other comments, are we good, Justin? Any other comments or anything we got to address? Okay. All right, then, Jason, let's get on out of here, shall we?
We shall, John. Everybody have a great and wonderful day. We'll talk to you guys really soon.
And as they say in court, nothing further.